Hello and welcome to this special presentation. We are at the residence of Rahul Dilip Prabhudesai, who is attempting what no Goan has even thought of doing before. Rahul is going to go on an expedition to Mount Everest, which is the highest peak in the world at around almost 9,000 meters above sea level. Well, whenever there is a task that one has to achieve and has a degree of difficulty involved, we often use the phrase of having a mountain to climb. Well, Rahul here has actually, he's going to go to climb this mountain, and he's almost ready to set out from Madgaon. Rahul, you are almost on the verge of going out for this expedition, so you must be really feeling the charged up atmosphere and all the passion in you towards this mountaineering goal of yours.
Of course, because this is the first Goan attempt of Mount Everest, and it's always been more of a community thing to me than a personal goal, because first of all, from Goa, not a lot of mountaineers, we have not produced a lot of mountaineers, and to be at the forefront and so Goa has not produced a lot of mountaineers in the past, and to be at the forefront and to attempt such an ambitious goal as the highest mountain in the world is of course a lot of pressure. But with the support of a lot of Goans, a lot of friends, family, well-wishers, the Goa government, a lot of big Goan, our very own corporate houses such as Dempo and more importantly Fomento, who have taken personal interest in this expedition for the last 1 year. I think I am now well placed and confident enough to attempt this mountain. And moreover, more importantly, I think the training that I have gone through. So I think now I'm confident with this backing that I've received from a lot of Goans around me, and with the training that I have gone through for the last 1.5 years. Maybe a year and a half ago, I thought this would not be possible, but now I'm confident because I have worked hard, and I've been to about 3 expeditions which served as a pre-Everest training, and I think now I'm ready. It's only up to the mountain to allow us to climb it.
Right. Rahul, we were here in last June, and you were almost on the verge of about to leave for
Yes,
Ladakh to
Ladakh
practice. So you can take us through your journey of having gone through rigorous practice sessions to prepare yourself.
I remember when the last time we had a conversation, it was just a day before I left to Ladakh. I was climbing the peak Stok Kangri for the second time, but this time as a guide. I was guiding about 20 people to the summit, and fortunately 12 of them summited the mountain, and it was the first ascent of the 2017 season, and we also opened the route for another 1,000 climbers who must have gone ahead and climbed the mountain in the next following 3 months. So that was another boost, a confidence booster. After that, I came back, and to be honest, training in Goa is a little difficult because of our weather, of our altitude. Goa is at sea level and does not offer the best training infrastructure that would be required for the mountains. Especially for an expedition like Everest or a big expedition. And that is why one has to be innovative, one has to adapt. That's where it's like a mental test, because you're doing mentally all the more strong because you don't have facilities around you. Not anyone's fault, but it's just that you're born in the wrong place for a goal like this. But again, world over, mountaineers have come from coastal areas, and it's not an excuse for me to sit back and say, no, I'm from Goa, so that I would not be able to climb. I gave it a shot. I tried. Every day it was difficult to wake up in the morning, early mornings, because Goa is hot. So you need to start training as early in the day as possible and finish your training before the sun kicks in, because it's not possible to give you 100% in this heat and to train for extended periods of time. But then after coming back from Ladakh, I was here for about a month and a half. I trained. I got an injury in my hamstring because of excessive running and wrong form of running, because I was alone, didn't have any coach, so not a lot of guidance. But whatever I could salvage from the internet, from my friends, from my networks, I brought it together and followed a consolidated training program. It was not very comprehensive, but worked for me. And then after about a month and a half after I got my injury treated in Bombay, I went for my most important pre-Everest expedition. That was Dhaulagiri 7. It was almost a 40-day expedition, a big one, climbing up to 24,000 feet, which is the death zone. And fortunately, the weather was beautiful. The mountain was benevolent enough for us to summit it with my team. And I was a part of an American team, International Mountain Guides, the same team that I will be climbing Everest with. So it was a wonderful experience, a good professionalism. And I came back from that expedition with even more confidence. And that is when the goal of Everest actually sunk in. When I started realizing that, okay, I have 3 more months. I came back in October. So November, December, January, February, 4 months, about 4 to 5 months. And this would be the most crucial training phase before attempting Everest. And those 2 months, I again trained in the Goan weather. Sometimes I used to it was a lot. It was a challenge because there was a lot of stress, where you question yourself: Am I doing the right thing? Am I doing enough? Because Everest is such a big goal. No amount of training is enough, but then you just go with it. You realize that you have a goal. There are a number of people doing it, and just as like Everest, everyone has their own Everest in their lives. So you just work towards it. And in December, so this is a very important thing. I came across a mountaineer named Kishore Dhankude, who's based in Pune. And he's the first Indian civilian to climb Mount Everest from both the sides, the south and the north. I got in contact with him. Very kind person, extremely down to earth, no ego, no sense of pride. And so we got along. And in December, I started training under him for a month in Pune. Again, he was busy with other things, so I had to train on my own, which involved waking up at 4 a.m., driving about an hour to the nearest hill, climbing with a backpack for about 3 to 4 hours, and then driving through traffic back to my apartment in Pune. This went on for a month. Of course, this was difficult, but then you have to do what you have to do. There are no shortcuts to success. And after finishing the training, I took part in his final phase of training program, a program that was designed by him in Ladakh, where I trained with another 4 Indians who will be attempting Everest. Of course, some from the north with other companies. We trained for about 3 weeks in Ladakh in the dead of the winter, which was perfect simulation before attempting Everest. Right. And I came back a month of training here because in the last phase of training, we follow something called as tapering, where we taper down our workout in order for the body to recover. And so here we are, one day to leave for Kathmandu and start the expedition.
Right. So physically you have trained yourself, and what is your mental preparation for this huge expedition?
I think training in Goa itself is a mental preparation because it is hot, it's pretty warm, you don't have a lot of people around you to train with. We still are a few years away from getting into that mindset of training in the outdoors. The system has not yet come into our Goan mindset. Of course, we will get there as more and more people have started to cycle, to run, but mountaineering, adventure sports are still yet to strike the people's fancy. Sure. So, yes, it was difficult in that sense, where you're sort of alone and people think you're crazy walking with a backpack in Goa on a nearby mountain, going up and down. But I think that was the biggest source of my mental preparation. And through that, I think now I'm mentally strong enough because I have always been in the mountains. and I know what it is like to live in the mountains. So that was never an issue. The issue was to train and train every day, to repeat the same thing. And I think that has made me mentally strong.
See, going to Mount Everest would be a very huge expedition for you, lasting more than 2 months. So the process would be huge, and destination would be unique. So, what would be your approach towards it? The process would be more enduring for you, the more memorable one for you.
Absolutely, because an expedition like Everest, as you said, it's a big one. So you can't really think of the summit when you start the expedition, because anything can happen in 2 months. You are spending 2 months above 17,000 feet, which is extreme altitude, where human body is not supposed to live for over a month. And you are not just living there, but going up and down, working so high on the mountain, and anything can happen. So just thinking about the summit and not enjoying the day gets to you, and it just builds up anxiety. So the best way, the best approach, which I think even the most even the elite mountaineers would advocate, is that you enjoy every day in the mountains, because the whole idea is to enjoy. Everest summit is not as important as the experience and the memories that you make on the mountain. And that is why I think just climbing, staying healthy, developing good friendship with your teammates and enjoying the day, and then just staying calm and waiting for the summit is the best approach to an expedition.
Have you been reading any books of those who have summited the Everest and watching documentaries or films?
In fact, reading is my hobby, so I love reading. And if it's reading about something that I love, then even better. And mountaineering literature has often been associated with rich historic feats by human beings, and especially back in the day, climbing to such altitudes without much technology was definitely a feat in itself, whether you climb the mountain or no, because these climbers introduced those mountains to the world and set a precedent for all of us to get inspired by. And I think reading about them just inspires you more and more.
So, who's been your most inspiring personality or a piece of literature that you have read? What has been the most striking and most inspiring feature?
In fact, there's a book by Jeffrey Archer. It's a pretty famous book called Paths of Glory, which is about the life of George Leigh Mallory, the first person to attempt Everest and to do a reconnaissance of the entire route on the south as well as north side of Everest back in 1921. So you're talking 100 years ago, almost 100 years ago. There were absolutely not even 10% of the technology that we use today. No boots, you had to make your own boots. There were no companies making mountaineering equipment. And so George Leigh Mallory was one of the pioneers in mountaineering. And I think he is a symbol of inspiration for every mountaineer that the world has produced.
With all the technology and equipmental support that you're getting now, you surely must be feeling really well placed to do this.
Absolutely. It's a big mental relief because we have access to technology. But again, deaths occur on the mountain, because this is a sign that no human man-made thing can be can face the wrath of nature. And that is why respecting the mountain and listening to your body and listening to what the mountain has to say is very important. And what I mean is, you need to understand nature, you need to read nature. And I think that's one quality that all mountaineers need to follow for eventual success on the mountain. Because no amount of technology can save you if something goes wrong high on the mountain.
Rahul, you're part of this team wherein there are other teammates who are from America. So how does the teamwork go with regards to the expedition?
Basically, I'm climbing with a team called International Mountain Guides. So it's a commercial expedition. They open slots, and then you pay for the slot and you book your seat on the climb. But I have two other climbers who have climbed with me Dhaulagiri 7 in the same team. So I have a rapport with them. And the rest, when it's a 2-month expedition, you definitely, the first thing that you do on meeting or meeting your teammates is to form a bond with them.
So it's like a
Because-
family that you have
exactly,
there.
because it's only that family bonding that will help you survive on the mountain for 2 months and to help you enjoy the day. You can't be a loner there and live for 2 months. It's not possible. Mountaineering is all about team building, team spirit, compassion, sharing, caring, and helping each other, especially when there is some problem. So it's very important to form a bond and to gel with your team members, because it's the team spirit, the camaraderie, as one would say, that helps you on the mountain. Because if there's any problem, you need to be open with your teammates and you need to have that informality to ask for help. And as long as it's not jeopardizing your own attempt, I think everyone helps each other on the mountain.
Right. When in there, how do you go about the food and the medical aspects, the whatever requirements you need? How are they met?
We have, apart from our 10 climbers, we will have a support team of about 50 to 60 people, which will include the Sherpa, the cooking team, the medical staff, the communication staff. So all this, the porters. So the entire team travels to the base camp together. And along the route to the base camp and at base camp for about 2 months, we eat well-cooked food, which is fresh and basically consists of plain carbohydrates such as dal, rice, normal आमची जो भाज्यो असता त्यो, then pastas. So something that is simple to digest and gives you a lot of energy. And it's all fresh cooked food up to the base camp. But above base camp, at camp 1, 2, 3, 4, we normally eat packed food. And as you go higher, your digestive system just shuts down. And that is when, but you still need energy. But you can't push food down your throat. So the only option is to have sugary drinks, like maybe add a lot of electrol to your drink, or add sugar, or have tea, and also soups, which is the most common source of food for any mountaineer about 22,000 feet. Because your body cannot digest food, but it still needs some energy. So that is when you start having soups, because it's uh, uh, easy to consume.
Right. Now that you are about to go to Bangalore first and then fly to Kathmandu, how is the itinerary planned out? What is your schedule of the overall
Yeah, I will
expedition?
give a brief itinerary, which is subject to change, of course. So I'm flying from Bangalore to Kathmandu. We will be based in Kathmandu for about 3 to 4 days, because the team members arrive at different dates because of everyone's convenience. And after Kathmandu, we take a small flight, which is a 15-seater flight, considered to be the most dangerous flight in the world. So the expedition starts there in Kathmandu. We take that flight to Lukla, which is a small airstrip. And from Lukla, it's a 10 to 12 day trek. It's a slow trek because we need to acclimatize to the Everest base camp. And at Everest base camp, after reaching there, we will be resting for a few days. And depending on the weather, we will start our first rotation on the mountain. So the first rotation would be to go to camp 1, go to camp 2, dump all our gear there, which we will require for the summit push in May, so that you save on carrying that amount of gear to camp 2. We will stay for about 2 nights, come back to base camp, recover at base camp, come even more down if necessary to a village where there is more oxygen, go back, and then start the second rotation, which will be going to camp 2 directly, staying a night there, going to camp 3, spending a night at camp 3, coming back to 2, spending a night at 2, and then coming back.
This is all by the way of trekking.
No, this climbing.
Climbing.
So the climb starts from the first rotation, because you're climbing Everest. So normally during one expedition, you're climbing the mountain 3 to 4 times, because you're going up and down the mountain at least 2 times before going from base camp to the top. And after the second rotation, which will be around end of April, we will rest and wait for the weather window. Now this can take from 1 week to even 3 weeks.
So what's this weather window?
The weather window basically means the time when weather is clear at the top of Everest, on the summit. So because of through weather forecast systems, they will predict the weather, And 5 days before the weather window, all expedition companies will mutually decide which companies will go on which days, so as to not so as to avoid traffic high on the mountain.
So during this time, there are simultaneously
Yes,
other
absolutely,
people also
absolutely.
coming there.
So there we might have almost 200 climbers on one night, on the summit night. So to avoid this traffic jam, which has been the reason for many accidents on the mountain, because once there's traffic, you have to wait, you get cold at high on the mountain, and you get slowed down by other climbers. So
Who
that's why.
coordinates all the traffic
So
there?
all the expedition leaders of the company come together and make a mutual decision by dividing the teams on the weather window dates. That is why one prays that you have more weather windows. Because if you have just one or two weather windows, all companies will be jammed up in those days. So you need, and so that would be somewhere around second week of May, and it would take us about 5 days from base camp to reach the summit and back. So the final rotation is a 5-day rotation, which includes going from base camp to 2, 3, 4, summit, back to 2 and back.
So which is that historic date that you're looking at
Probably,
for summit?
probably 15th to 20th of May. Yes, if everything goes well. I hope that it happens earlier, because the more time you got to spend on the mountain, the more tired you get. So it can happen anywhere from 10th May to 21st May or 25th May.
Right.
So
For,
yeah.
for all these expeditions, the authorities need to give permission.
Absolutely.
So what are the type of fees that need to be paid to them?
Nepal government charges about $14,000 as
Per
the
person?
permit fee to climb Everest, and which is again included in the cost of the expedition as charged by the company that you're climbing with. Right. And China, I think, charges about $11,000. But permit fee is is the major source of revenue for the Nepal tourism, and they have a liaison officer stationed at the base camp to coordinate and to check the permits of every climber.
So adventure sports definitely has its cost, and that's why it has not yet picked up in mass scale, right?
Yeah, because especially in India, again, because we Indians have historically been laid-back people, and because of our culture, we are not as open to risks as a lot of as our Western counterparts. But the trend is changing, and I hope that in the years to come, India will produce not just more mountaineers, but more sportsmen in general, who will push physical and mental boundaries and set examples for the rest of the population.
What are the messages that you're getting here in Goa? The people all around, and
Yeah.
of course corporates that you have said they have supported you.
In fact, Mr. Odut Timlo has been very closely associated to me, especially after the Everest climb, when Everest climb was decided, and I have been talking to him for almost now a year on this project, and he has been very supportive, given a lot of encouragement, and he has committed a generous support towards my expedition, and he is very hopeful that I become the first Goan. He was very excited, and of course has promised me a lot of media support, and I think I'm very grateful to him for that, because encouragement coming from a person like him, like the Goa government, gives an individual like me who has a goal even more confidence to go for it, because you have the backing of people who are respected in the society and who form an opinion.
Right. Rahul, we even mentioned about crowdfunding during our earlier program. So has that worked in Goa? Did you get good enough support?
I would say I'm not disappointed, because I raised about 1.5 lakh rupees through crowdfunding. But to be honest, I received overwhelming support, and multiple times that amount just from our personal network, well-wishers, and our fellow Goinkars, not just based in Goa, but based outside Goa and across the world, which has been, I think, another very important, crucial source of encouragement to me. And in addition to this, the Goa government also has been very supportive. Our CM had taken an interest, and it's still in the pipeline. But I hope to receive support from them, because it's almost I'm leaving tomorrow, and maybe now whatever happens, my parents will have to follow up. But again, I'm very grateful to our Goan government, people like Odut Timlo, and of course the Goan community in Goa and across the world, to have backed me throughout.
And your parents.
And yes, I mean, I wanted to, I always save the best for the last, because my parents have been the ultimate source of support to me. Because when I'm training, there is a lot of mental stress, physical stress. So you are never in the right state of mind. Sometimes you need a lot of moral and emotional support, for which they were there throughout. And me being their only son, I think it's more courageous on their part to encourage me to take up an expedition or a sport like this. And I think I give complete credit to them for putting me where I am today.
Wonderful, Rahul. We wish you all the good luck that you need, and hopefully Goa will have its mountaineer par excellence doing the Mount Everest expedition for the first time ever in the history of Goa. Rahul, all the best.
Yes, and I would like to also add that Prudent Media has been very interactive, has played a very important part in covering my not just Everest, but my even from the smallest expedition to the biggest expedition. And I think as a Goan media house, it's very generous on your part to cover persistently my sport. And again, very grateful to every one of you.
Rahul,
Thank
you
you.
deserve it. Hopefully, you'll get all the success. Thanks for watching. Keep watching Prudent. Goodbye.